So when we talk about the grieving process with you having, lost your bio dad at such a young age and not really having that relationship with him, not remembering him, and then having to like spend all of your time trying to figure out the family dynamic and to get all those questions answered, there may not have been much time for the grieving process to where you feel that sadness or that loss because you're still trying to figure out how that all fits into the family.
I think for a while I think I might have, and I say that just because, well, the sadness part of it, just because I was confused on why he went to the extent he did to have me, but
Mm-hmm.
then only give me a year and some change of my life before
Mm-hmm.
committing
Yeah.
suicide. I think that's the part that I couldn't register. I'm like, you did the absolute most to get me here,
Mm.
and then you don't even give me a fighting chance to even know you, because I was a year and couple months old when he committed suicide. So it's like, obviously I didn't have that chance to get, I have no recollection of him whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? I think that's the part that I was so stuck on. And the only time, or the time that I gave myself to understand that, is when I was doing that myself, contemplating suicide, when after I had Jordan. But before that, for a long time, I was mad about that. I was upset. I was hurt. I was like, why? Like,
Yeah.
literally, why? Like, you did what you did, but you didn't want to hang on longer at all.
That's a very good question. Why?
Like, not even 2 years. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was angry. I was hurt, and I couldn't talk about him or hear about him without crying for a while. I don't know if I went to the extent of the grieving process that I needed to. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure, just because it's so, I'm grieving someone I don't know.
Yeah.
You know
That
what I'm
makes
saying? I
sense.
don't know if I did all the parts of the grieving that I was supposed to do, or that's necessary to fully heal. You know?
Yeah. That's a good point. I'm grieving a person I didn't know.
Right.
And I think too, given the circumstances, like you just said, like going through all this to have me, only then to leave me so soon after, and I have no answers,
Right.
and there's no answers to the why, and trying to make sense of all of that, and understandable where that anger would come from,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding where that hurt and sadness would come from, because you had lost someone, you just didn't know that someone,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And that's the grieving process is a process. So there's going to be different stages, different emotions one has to go through, So you may have gotten through some of that anger, you may not, and there may still be some sadness in there,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And we've talked before, if you were to have all of the answers, then maybe you would know which direction to go in as far as the grieving process. Like maybe I have more anger, or maybe I do have more sadness. But when you don't really know,
Right.
it's kind of hard to know which direction to kind of go in with your emotions.
Yeah, because I don't know what, like, from my perspective, I've done the forgiving part for him, and
Mm-hmm.
because I think the only thing that I was really mad at is that he did what he did to have me and then left me.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I got to a place where I understood that when I had that same thing going on with me.
Yeah.
Um, but is there more that I need to forgive? You know what I mean? Or taking everything that I do know is at the extent of where, the forgiving that I need to do concerning him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if, because like I said, I don't really want, at this point, really want to have all the details, because that I feel like that's going to make my process a lot more difficult and a lot longer for, and I don't need it.
Yeah.
I really don't need it. So it's like, considering what I do know, I think I don't see any more anger that I have towards him. Not from the perspective that I have right now anyway.
Okay. So no more anger.
At least I think. I'm not I don't know, cuz
Okay.
you know, when you get to digging, you might find some stuff and you're like, "Oh, wow, there it is."
I
But
didn't realize that was still in there.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
right. So from what I can see from, right now, I don't think I don't have any more anger towards him.
Okay. What about the denial? Like, not in the sense of, not just in the sense of that he's, gone, and, but about all of it. About, what happened, and him having to, feel like that was his resort. He had to resort to that to ending his life.
Well, am I in denial?
Yeah, on some level.
I don't know. I talked to my mom, and she was trying to gauge whether or not I was trying to paint him as this, for lack of a better word, perfect dad, good dad, whatever it was. And that's not the case. Like, I know, I've heard from different people in the family that he wasn't the best person. He definitely had his gunk on top of some. So I'm definitely not painting him to be this perfect person, and he could do no wrong. He's done plenty wrong, and the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if I'm holding any denial concerning him.
Okay.
Because I don't know what I would be holding the denial about. You know what I mean? Like, I know a couple pieces, and from that.
So what just came up? Everything's changed. So tell me what you're thinking.
The denial could be, see, because okay, what I was going to say, the denial could be is the situation between him and my mom, how that whole thing went down.
Yeah.
That could be the denial. But also, with the information that I have that contradicts that, it makes it hard to believe. You know what I mean? Like, it makes it hard to know what it was, which is why I don't really want to. I don't know if I really want to have. I can't have those answers, because my mom's gonna say what she's been saying.
Yeah.
And my dad's not here to say, yeah, it was that way, or yeah, it wasn't. And even if he was, the chances of him being like, yeah, I did that to your mom, probably not likely. Not that he wouldn't. I don't know him. You know what I'm saying? So not that I don't know.
Yeah.
But that could be, if anything, that would probably be the denial part, if anything. But again, it's hard to feel that, knowing events that happened after.
And so my question would be, rather, or either then or now, any sense of like, I don't want to accept or admit that he is my father, my bio dad?
Oh no, I don't think I've ever had that. When I say my dad, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about, Roy, my stepdad.
Yes.
Because he's what I know. He's been my dad my whole life. So when I say my dad in general, that's exactly who I'm talking about. And I don't think about my bio dad when I'm saying that.
Yeah.
if for whatever reason that conversation kind of comes up for whatever reason, then I'll say bio dad.
Yeah.
But I don't deny that, he's my dad or anything like that. I mean, nobody knows him. I mean, I was like friends or anybody that I hang around that,
Yeah.
would just be having general conversation with. It's not like they would bring him up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The only people that would bring him up don't really want to bring him up.
Yeah.
And I have no communication with anybody on his side of the family. Um, they his sister Regina, I think she's the only girl. My aunt, quote unquote aunt, she for years was, I guess, for lack of a better word, harassing my mom, saying that she wanted to meet me, and if she saw me in person, she would tell me everything about my dad, my bio dad.
Okay.
This was before I knew that Roy was not my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think I might have been 16, 17 when I met her. Um, my perspective now is her along with everybody else, all his other siblings really had, it was a hype of it because they couldn't see me. But then now that they have free range to see me, talk to me, whatever the case is, I don't talk to any of them. I've met all of them maybe once. I think I saw Regina twice. I'll say three times, and two of those three times were on accident. So, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I hung out with his brother, Junie. We went to the mall one time. I met his daughters. That was it.
Is that a loss for you, not having either having that relationship with that side of the family or having it in those times and then losing
I knew it was a possibility because my mom was telling me how they are, but I also know how my mom is sometimes, and she's really harsh when it comes to certain people. So I heard what she was saying as far as like don't have your hopes up with a relationship with them,
that? Mm.
but they were the closest thing that I could have had to my dad. So I wanted it.
Yeah.
But then when it wasn't what I expected or hoped for, even, I was just like, it is what it is.
Okay.
I don't really think about them, um, really at all. Like I said, unless for some reason they get brought up or something triggers a memory of just them, but I don't know them.
Okay. And that begs the question, can I miss someone or something that I never really had?
With them, not really. At least
Yeah.
I don't feel like it, because like I said, I don't know them, and the only reason I kind of felt that way towards my dad is because that could have changed how my whole life was. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? But that's about it. Them, it's not really the same thing for me
Yeah.
because I don't know. I have my aunts and uncles on my mom's side, and I feel fulfilled with that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't feel like I'm missing. To me, they would have just been another bridge to me to get to know my dad.
Yeah.
But since they're not that, then it is what it is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I get the information that I get, and I came to terms with I'm just not gonna know him. You know what I mean? The way I would have liked. He's not here,
Okay.
and the people who could give me the information about him don't care to.
And so one of the other stages of the grieving process is that bargaining stage. Like, if I would have, you know, been able to see him beforehand, or if I could have remembered him, or if I were to have, gotten to know him better through his siblings.
Mm.
And I'm not sensing any of that from you. It's like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
This is where we're at, and you're going to have to move forward without that connection, without that information.
Right, because the person who has been giving me the most information about my dad is my grandma or my mom's mom.
Okay.
She's everybody else is like with my mom, of course it's a touchy subject, so she may answer a question or two, but I know she doesn't want to. My grandma, she probably doesn't really necessarily want to either, but she's going to for me.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Like my mom, she's more, I'm gonna protect myself and give you what the answers you need ish, but
Yeah.
don't cross too many lines or don't start digging too deep because that's gonna affect me. My grandma's just like, even though it's gonna affect me, I know it's gonna help you, so I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the difference.
Yeah.
My grandma's the one who's been giving me the most information about my dad.
Do you question why he ended his life when he did?
Not really. Like I said, I he was dealing with a lot concerning that whole situation with my grandma and my mom.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he was already dealing with stuff spiritually, like bad stuff spiritually. So I'm not really surprised that it happened. I just wish it didn't.
Yeah.
Kind of. Not that I wish it did, but like I know the damage and pain that he's caused a lot of my family, like my mom, my grandma, my uncle, and all that stuff. So it's like, if he was here, it would be selfish of me to want him here because I'm the only one that would have some type of joy about it.
Yeah.
Everybody else, it would bring so much pain to. So it's like, obviously, I didn't want that to happen, but to want him back would be selfish.
Understandable.
Yeah.
When you were talking earlier about forgiveness, and I guess my question would be for you, is it forgiveness as a whole with that person and any and everything that they've done? Or is it in facets? I can forgive this and then I have to forgive that and then I forgive that. So is it in like stages in that sense?
I guess it's gonna have to be because going back to me saying I thought that I had forgiven my mom as a whole, it's like you didn't fully. You thought you did, but just by saying you forgive her and not being mad at, in the moment,
Yeah.
but you really didn't. So it has to be, I have to chip at different things that I'm angry at or upset at or haven't let go. I have to chip at them to fully forgive. And that comes with digging and asking God to show me what, where is the unforgiveness? Where else is it for me to know? So I can't just say as a whole, she's forgiven, or I need to forgive this person as a whole, because He's shown me it's not that simple to fully forgive.
I think a lot of people, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but when they say, "Oh, I forgive this person," I think they look at it as a whole and not all of the pieces that go along with that. And I think for you, you found that that is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I've forgiven this, but maybe I haven't fully forgiven because I haven't been able to forgive that, or maybe I've forgotten about this, and now I have to deal with it, and then I have to work on that forgiveness. So I do think for you, it's in stages, or maybe not stages is the right word, but in different facets of how you were affected by their life, their choices or whatever it may be. So it's not a necessarily all or nothing.
No,
it's in different levels.
Right.
Okay. You were talking earlier too about how for yourself when God speaks through you that there's something that's undone, something left undone. So what are some other situations, like regarding your family dynamic, where you felt like, okay, God is not, he's not done with me in this aspect. Like I still need to listen to this or that?
Really all in this deliverance, I don't know if stage is the right word, but in our Bible study, we're going through the deliverance process and getting delivered from things that are have been buried or known and unknown. So with that, he's definitely showing me things that need to be addressed, need to be brought up, things that were um, suppressed but not fully brought up and brought out. So he's definitely, it's definitely going to be a process,
Mm-hmm.
um, because before my walk, I was doing what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? So all
Yeah.
that stuff that I allowed to come into me that was not of God now has to come back up. Whether I knew about it or not,
Mm,
it's still I still am affected by it. So I have to now have God help me find those things to bring them out. So,
I see.
that's definitely a process.
And I think for you, it's a matter of just listening.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes, and again, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I think a lot of people in their journey with God don't listen. They don't, they don't listen. They don't stop to hear what he's saying. And, but in your case, that's very important to you.